One again, live. There we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome. Stream on in, my friends. We have an absolutely amazing show in store for you folks today. We're going to be talking about a topic that I am very excited to talk about because it's going to change a lot of people's lives. And then let me get Edwin up here as well. And
I'm very sorry for the.
No problem, my friend. We're so happy to have you here. And just going to go over a quick intro. So with inflation reaching these historic highs across Latin America, stablecoins are emerging as a powerful tool for everyday people to protect their savings. And today, we're speaking with leaders from LTIO, Bello, Boyit, and Open Trade to explore how stablecoin-based savings, powered by Avalanche, are helping users beat hyperinflation and gain access to real financial stability. And to discuss today's topic, we've gathered some absolute stars, my friends. So today we have Leandro here, lead community manager over at Avalanche LATAM. Say what's up, my friend.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you, my friend. Thank you so much for being willing to join us. I'm also joined here by Jeff, CCO of Open Trade. Say what's up, my friend.
Thanks, Breevy. Good to be here. Good to speak with everyone.
It's nice to have you here as well, man. And I'm also joined by, we got Edwin here from Bello. Say what's up, my friend.
Hi there, everyone. Thanks for the space. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. I'm also joined by Fetty, also known as Fetty Wap, but no, just Fetty, baby, CEO of Boyit. Say what's up, my friend.
Hi, everybody. What's up? Thank you, Breevy, for the kind reward, kind intro.
No problem, my friend. Super happy to have you. And then last but not least, we have my friend, Romain Conti, head of growth over at LTIO. Say what's up, my friend.
Hi, Brevi. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the invitation for this event.
Oh, man, we really appreciate you for being willing to hop on. I mean, like, this is a really, really important topic. Just kind of going through the stats here, like this hyperinflation that's just kind of happening in the LATAM market is fairly insane. And so I'm super happy today that you guys can kind of come on and we can kind of discuss some possible solutions. But before we actually kind of really get into everything, I do want to intro everything that you folks are building right now first. So I guess to start things off, my good friend Fetty, can you talk to us a little bit about Boyit?
Of course. So our mission in Boyit is to offer Latin Americans a very easy way to invest in crypto and US stocks. So we started as a crypto exchange, and then we changed more into a crypto broker, a simpler, user experience, just buy and sell. And our first product that really got a lot of traction here in Argentina was actually a stablecoin called DAI, now migrated into SUSD. And Argentinians really adopted it because it's a digital dollar that people can use to save, to transact, and it's much more free than the actual dollar in Argentina that has a lot of restrictions, government restrictions. So that was our first big product, and then we added more cryptos. And a year ago, we added also US stocks. So we're basically very simple to use and easy investment app.
So let's say somebody wanted to get started using Boyit right now. Walk me through that process really quick. Where would we go?
So you would have to obviously download the app, the mobile app. We also have a very basic web app that we're improving right now. You would have to do a KYC. So we're regulated, so we need to know who you are and check your identity. And then just simply deposit or either pesos, dollars via bank transfer locally, or stable coins or crypto in many blockchains, including Avalanche. And then you can, with only $1, start investing in cryptos, US stocks, ETFs, and more.
That's amazing, man. Stocks, ETFs, and crypto. And this is something that folks didn't really have access to, or if they did, it was extremely hard. So really, really hats off to you and the team for building something like this, man, for building out Boyit, because you're changing lives, if I have to be honest.
Thank you.
No problem, bro. I also want to talk to my friend Edwin over here. Bello, can you tell us a little bit about what you built over there?
Yeah, sure. Well, we started Bello with the mission to let people live in crypto every day. But like I said, and I discuss this with my co-founder all the time, people live in TCP IP all the time, but they don't have a clue how it works. They just want to press a button and have an Uber come into their doorsteps. That's why we focus a lot in real-time payments. We have a prepaid card, and you can have very few crypto assets. We are super delicate regarding as to what assets are in our platform. We only allow right now Bitcoin, Ethereum, and unfortunately Solana as well, because that's a battle that I lost. Not everything is nice in my life, but yeah, and then only stablecoins and pesos. So we try to focus mainly on real-time payments and people actually using all the money in crypto without even them knowing. For instance, during the last holidays on the summer, people use. We started with Pix probably I think a year ago, something like that, and we have people onboarding like with 60 years old, 75 years old that were using crypto in the background, and they have honestly no clue that they were using it. So that's basically what we are aiming to. And yeah, super fun to be here. I actually know Fede for a long time because he was one of the OGs, and so now we are trying to do our stuff or our part in bringing more people on chain, even though most people won't know that they're on chain.
See, you said something I really, really love highlighting when we come on Avalanche Live, man, and that is crypto being used in the background. It's like you said, folks 65, 70 years old are using this application that's helping change their lives, making their lives for the better, and they don't even understand. They don't even know that they're using blockchain in the background. And I really think, me personally, this is where the future is headed. No one cares about like IP, but it works in the background. I also want to talk to my friend Romain over here at LTIO. Can you give us just an update? Tell us what you've been building over there.
Yeah, sure. So LTIO is a solution that connects Latin Americans with financial services in the US and Europe. So in LTIO, a Colombian, a Mexican, an Argentinian can buy a USDC Eurocoin from a national deposit, can receive blockchain, can receive international wire transfer from the US, from Europe, receive everything in stablecoins. They can use their funds with a LTIO card by MasterCard. They can also save at 6% in USDC, 6% in Eurocoin. So we create all the ecosystem to allow Latinians to can have access to all these services that traditionally are really difficult for them to have access.
See, this is absolutely beautiful, man. Romain, thank you so much, man. This is just, I just love seeing folks who are just seeing problems and then just kind of developing solutions for the folks, and then making it easy for them to actually access these solutions as well. For the folks out there, please make sure you're paying attention. Like this is one for the books. And then of course, I got to talk to my friend Jeff over here at Open Trade. Can you tell us about what you folks have been building?
Yeah, definitely. So for Open Trade, we're a bit different. So we kind of sit in the background where our thesis is that the companies like Bello, Boyit, and LTIO are the ones that know their end user experiences and what they're after best. And so what we do is we allow them to generate stable, predictable returns on stablecoin balances. So USDC, USDT, and EURC that is managed completely by us in the back end, and they can then use to offer, earn yield savings products to their end users. So what we really do is make it really easy for them to plug in their existing wallets, systems, processes into a secure platform that then handles all of the off-chain real-world investment infrastructure in the back end. And yeah, no, it's very exciting to be on here with these companies. And again, I think the main thing to note is that these guys are the ones on the ground that are actually building the applications and user experiences that make this incredibly easy for end users. And we're just very happy to support in the back end and allow them to generate stable returns that then their users can take advantage of. And yeah, last thing I'd say is that we connect really a global network of financial institutions with a kind of bank grade off-chain operating structure to deliver this again, so that it's just USDC, USDT, EURC in and out, and we handle the rest.
This is so beautiful, man. Like the way everybody's just kind of working in synergy together. This is what crypto is all about. This is what one chain is all about. Like this is absolutely beautiful. All right, so let's start kind of like diving into the meat of things here. And Leandro, get ready, man. I'm about to pick on you, my friend. All right. Just can you kind of give me like what you're kind of seeing on the ground? You've obviously had a front row seat to the growth of projects like Boyit, Bello, LTIO, Open Trade. What are you seeing on the on boots on the ground as far as like the overall landscape of like this hyperinflation problem? And then how are these folks over here? How are they helping solve?
Yeah, I'm super happy to be in this stream with these particular partners because they're, as you mentioned, they're providing real solutions for people in Latin America, and not only for a handful of people. We're talking about platforms with millions of users. So it's something that really has a very large impact in societies like ours in Latin America. And if you think about these use cases, in particular in the way these tools help people protect against inflation, for instance, Boyit is, I think, a great example of this. It's probably the oldest platform in the lot here in this call, and they were born in a time when Argentina was facing really high, incredibly high levels of inflation. Just a couple of years ago, to give you an example, we had like 25% inflation in a month. So when you scale that and make the numbers, what that gives you for a yearly inflation rate, it's absolutely insane. And if you think about how people have a real need to protect their savings, their income, even their monthly income, when we're talking about inflations that high, they can be really they can lose a lot of purchasing power within a month when they get their salary or whatever income they have until the time that they have to spend it. So the possibility is just to access an asset that is tied to a currency like the US dollar, like we were speaking before in relation to stablecoins. It's absolutely crucial when you are facing a situation like that. And even nowadays, when inflation is a bit lower than those extreme numbers I mentioned before, we're talking about, I don't know, 40% a year. It's super high. And when we think about the reality in other countries in Latin America, which are lower than Argentina, even right now, you're talking about inflation rates of 13% in a year or something like that. So even if it's not as extreme as the case I mentioned before, it's still very significant, and you start to need like a way to protect your assets against this phenomenon. So I think all these applications like LTIO, Boyit, and Bello, they like an obvious value proposition from this platform is the access to protect against inflation, and all the benefits you get from stablecoins in that sense are don't need to be explained to people in Latin America. But on top of that, what's very interesting for me is that they're actually building like a set of financial products which is much wider than that, and this is when partners like OpenTrade come into play and give the possibility not just to hold a stablecoin and protect against inflation, but also to invest and get a yield on those stablecoins. Or like the example that Fede mentioned, that through Wembit you can invest in stocks or ETFs or any number of different assets, and all these possibilities you get from an app in your phone without like the very complex procedures you have to open a brokerage account in from Latin America, or even a bank account in certain regions is difficult to get. So I'm super excited about how these applications are growing and offering real solutions for people in the region.
Can I ask a question, just a general one to everyone? Whoever wants to answer it. What did people do like prior to these solutions? Like with this amount of inflation, like what was their kind of safeguard before?
I think I can take it and then leave the floor for someone else. Yeah. In Argentina, in particular, this is not something new. We have times with extremely extravagant inflation rates, like the one I mentioned just a couple of years ago, but it's usually like a systemic problem in the economy here in Argentina, and it happens in other countries in Latin America as well. But Argentina is probably one of the case studies you can have for this particular phenomenon. And so people are used to finding ways to protect even before crypto, before all these amazing solutions we have right now. And the more traditional one is just getting US dollars. So if you look at Argentina and the amount of dollars per capita here in Argentina is the highest after the United States. Argentina comes second. So really? People are very, very much used to saving in dollars, and you get like a bimonetary economy where people spend in the short term in pesos, but save for the long term in dollars. And this was traditionally made in something as simple as getting in an exchange house, getting USD bills, cash, and saving it in your home, and from that you have maybe people with access to more complex solutions can have USD savings accounts in banks, and from there broker accounts in both in the country or even in the US for more complex investment alternatives.
But those kind of solutions specifically are extremely hard for the more everyday kind of user. Yeah, like the broker.
Yeah, they have been becoming more accessible lately thanks to this kind of technologies, but traditionally they were reserved for a minority, definitely.
Yeah. So in Argentina, we are obsessed with the US dollar, right, Leanne? Everybody knows about the US dollar exchange rate. It's like the main KPI for the country, and it's one of the main KPIs for the government, So imagine that everybody's looking at the exchange rate day by day in the newspapers, and if we see that the US dollar maybe jumps 2 or 3% in one day, everybody in Twitter in all the countries saying, "Oh, okay, the economy, something's bad going to happen, rumors." So for us, US dollar is like the metric of our economy.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, and in Colombia, as Leandro said, it was the same. It was getting cash, but there was lots of problem of security, getting so much cash and traveling with cash, getting cash to your home. And the second option was getting an account in Panama from Colombian banks. But the problem is that to open a Panama bank account, you needed to have $10,000. in Colombia, there is only 1% of the population that can have access to $10,000. So it was discriminating lots of Colombians. And LTIO and other solutions, what we created is have access from $1. So everybody can have access to an account in dollars, regardless of how much capital do they have.
Oh my goodness, that's absolutely beautiful. So you said but originally before LTIO, $10,000.
Yeah.
This is insane. See, this is why I really find it extremely important for folks from various different regions kind of getting together and talking about these different problems. This is not something I was even aware of, and to have it to where the solution is, I can get a bank account with the U.S., but in order to do that, I need to have $10,000. Like that just seems kind of like insane. So I really appreciate all of you for being willing to hop on and just kind of talk through this and talk about the different solutions you folks have built. I'm gonna pick on Edwin here with this next question. So get ready, man. Do some shoulder stretches, whatever you gotta do. So obviously, like these products you folks have built are extremely helpful to the everyday user out there. As far as the adoption of the products, have you seen people? What's kind of the mindset been? Have people just been like, yeah, immediately let's go, or have people been kind of more reserved? Kind of walk me through that.
I think it depends on the market that you want to focus on. I've been fortunate enough that I live in Argentina, in Brazil, and in Colombia. Currently living in Spain, so I had a broad strokes of how it works. In Argentina, what happens is that people tend to be survivors, so they were probably the first crypto adopters in Latin America. Actually, if you look at the transactional volume, they have like I wouldn't say an intuition, but I would say like a penchant for them to always be looking for the next big thing. So that they are super early adopters in their elan vital, in their DNA. They have like this way of becoming the best. Or they are not afraid to look for things in order for them to adopt other technologies. That's why USDT was super helpful. Even now, Leandro didn't mention, but we have a thing in Argentina called cuevas, which are basically caves where you go and you transact your money, your pesos, your peso bill for a dollar bill at the parallel exchange rate. And the cuevas, which are basically not somewhat, but they are super illegal, technically speaking, they use USDT right now. So even that part of the transaction, they are using that. So in Argentina, they tend to have that type of adoption more in itself, because they have been. I have 38 years old, and I've seen three processes of hyperinflation in the 89, in the 2001, and 2010, I think it was. So shit happens, and shit happens all the time in Argentina. Therefore, if I have a way for me to have a better way to safeguard my money, I will take it, and that's embedded in the DNA in Argentina. Whereas in Colombia, it has another flavor for me, because what Romain said, there are banks that they especially tell you need to have $10,000 and go to Panama and have a passport. With a lot of people don't have passport in Colombia, and then you just kind of have like that type of things. And indeed, what LTIO is doing with the Colombian freelancers and remote workers is allow them to actually have that, because we have like an influx of digital nomads in Colombia, and they have this type of need of having their money in the day-to-day. So it depends on the country. Brazil, they are starting to look into the dollar. If you look at, for example, another extreme case is Bolivia, where the crypto volume rose over 5x between January 2024 and mid 2025 because of the same thing. Because the country is in a shit storm, and it's going, it's going bankrupt. That's the reality. It's going bankrupt. So people are trying to get the dollar. So you have like you have two ways of getting into adoption. I need this because my country is going excuse my French, to shed, or I want this because I want to become more knowledgeable in ways to actually have more tools for my finance future. That's why you see a lot of nerds. I'm one of them into crypto, because we tend to look for optionality. Unfortunately, in Latin America, the former is more probable than the later. So we have more countries going to shit and people trying to get onto stable coins or crypto as a whole.
I really, really appreciate you for like giving that roundup, like all the, because it's really important that we get these pieces of information so that we can understand that these problems exist. And you speaking as passionately as you were speaking may inspire the next financial tool that helps another problem. And so again, really, really appreciate you, Edwin. Actually, I guess I hit the hammer on the nail there, asking you, man. You gave me a really, really, really good synopsis of everything, my friend. I really appreciate you. I guess I'll go ahead. I'll pick on Fetty here at this next question. All right, so do your shoulder rolls and get ready, my friend. Can you give just us a use case of how your end users have been benefiting from this new sort of access that you've given to them?
Of course. So one of our most popular products is generating yields in stablecoins. And basically the use case is mainly for Argentinians protecting their wealth, right? As Edwin says, the Argentinian economy goes to shit very many times, and our currency is not that strong. We have hyperinflation and devaluations. So people need to save in a hard currency. For us, it's the US dollar. And the government trying to control the US dollars, many times they put restrictions on how many US dollars Argentinians can buy. Okay. A couple of years ago, you could only buy $200 in the bank. So people had to go to these cuevas, these illegal shops, to buy the US dollars in physical dollar cash bills. And so first, that's illegal, and second, that's not safe. So we offer in stable coins as an alternative to these illegal shops, cuevas, plus offering some yield on top of that. It's like a perfect solution because it's a digital US dollar that's much safer and it's free, and that you can generate yield on that. We started with the maker savings rate. That was our first product back in 2020 when Aave and Compound were just starting. And we started focusing on that product, starting generating new partnerships like with Open Trade. We offer Open Trade services to our customers via OneBit. We offer access to safe yields and, for example, T-bills and some other safe, high quality bonds. And people really in Argentina really like that because it's a way of preserving the wealth, right? And accessing financial products from international financial products that are not accessible in Argentina.
Also, I can imagine that, with those kind of illegal shops that were selling the dollar, I could imagine that there were just a massive amount of scammers as well. Yeah. So I couldn't imagine if you go in with, you're just trying to get some dollars and you go in with, you're trying to get your savings and you go in with your life savings and it's a scammer and then you're just completely screwed. And
you have scams, robberies, fake bills.
Yeah.
Lots of it.
Oof. Oh my goodness, man. And it's really amazing though that you noticed this and that you built a solution for it, and that people are actually like coming and adopting the solution, and it's actually helping change their lives. Like this is the more positive aspect that I like to focus on, like where we're just like, okay, it's like this now, but we at least have the solution, and things are starting to get better over time. Romain, I'm going to pick on you, my friend, now as well. Same question. Can you just kind of give me some use cases that you're kind of seeing with this with your client base?
Yeah, sure. So in LTIO at first, when we got born, we had really strong devaluation of the Colombian pesos. like 25% in just 2 months. So Litio got born as a way to can save money and protect themselves from devaluation. But then our users just told us, hey, it's nice to have money in dollars. In this moment, we just had dollars, but we need to spend this money abroad because it's really hard for us to can spend when I go to travel to the US to pay with my Colombian bank account. I have 2% fee. So we adapt our product to just saving, to save and spend abroad, paying with a MasterCard without fees, without FX. And then users told us, hey, it's nice. We can save in Litio, we can spend in Litio, but we cannot receive in Litio. So we created ACH account, IBAN account this year, so users can receive their salary, receive remittances for all the remote workers in Colombia. They receive their funds, then they can put their funds in the pots thanks to Open Trade in dollars, in euros, and for all the Colombians working in Spain, receiving their salary in euros, they can put their funds in the pots in euros at 6%, so they don't have to lose money with the inflation. They can change, they can choose whenever they want to make withdraw, to pay with their card. They are not depending on the daily rate when they receive the funds. So finally, we see that in Colombia, there is lots of needs to have access to international financial services, not just one product. And that's all these ecosystems that are giving to Colombians access to lots of needs that they have. And everything can work only if we buy trust. That's what Fedejo said before. There is lots of scams everywhere, and in Colombia also. Colombians prefer to have cash than a bank account because they are afraid that banks are scammers. So all the work that we need to do is how to create trust in our products and to can benefit for all the ecosystem of crypto, making a product that works well so they are not afraid, they can trust us, and move from using cash in Colombian pesos to a way cheaper, faster, and more secure way to move their funds and use their funds in Colombia.
Okay, and so in Colombia, they're carrying around cash, which I can imagine that is not creating the best and safest situations for them.
Yeah, now it's a bit changing. The mentality are changing in the last 5 years, but traditionally, people prefer to receive their salary in cash than receive their salary in a bank account.
Wow. Okay. And all right. So I'm going to pitch this over to Jeff too, because I obviously, there's all these different solutions, and one of them is helping out with the yield kind of aspect of everything. Jeff, can you talk a little bit about Open Trade and how this kind of RWA backed yield is possible?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'll start. So my co-founder and myself, prior to Open Trade, we had both worked in the traditional finance sector, so in kind of structured finance arena, as well as at the joint venture between Coinbase and Circle called Center, which launched and governed USDC. And so we really saw with USDC basically the evolution of stablecoin offerings within companies like all of the ones that are here with us today. And so again, going back to a point earlier, these guys, and in particular LATAM, are the ones that are driving real utility value for stablecoins and actual adoption of stablecoin based financial services for their users. And we knew that to power the sort of investing products that could allow people like the companies here to generate returns on stablecoin balances, there needed to be a solution that was fit for purpose, where if everyone is operating in stablecoins, it's a real pain if you as a company have to onboard to a dozen different financial institutions, on and off ramp between USDT versus USDC to US dollars, and manage 10 different processes within all those financial institutions. And so what we do is we allow them to have a single solution that allows them to generate returns on stablecoins, in stablecoins, backed by a variety of high quality financial asset investments. And so what we do is a combination of a technology platform that allows these companies to connect their existing wallets and systems, kind of really work within the way that they operate their companies today. And then on the back end, we have a dedicated asset management and operations team that deals with our network of financial institutions. So these are tier 1 banks, different sources of private credit assets to effectively manage and secure all of the investments off chain, while for our clients, they have a single, easy to use, secure outlet to bring in USDC and USDT. And for us, these are stablecoin based solutions that provide end users benefits that are offered by us and not our clients. And so what we're really focused on is making these economical, right? So one of the issues with traditional financial institutions operating this sector, as folks have highlighted, are things like hidden fees, predatory minimums, kind of baked in terms that make these things uneconomical to operate. So we don't have any of those. All we do is focus on making this really simple to use, secure, and economical for our clients so that they can keep driving the real world adoption that they're seeing on the ground. So that's Open Trade in a nutshell, I guess. Hopefully that answers the question.
No, that was absolutely perfect, man. Thank you so much. And I also kind of want to talk a little bit about like the role kind of Avalanche plays and like why you specifically chose Avalanche.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, for us, so this goes to one of the last points where we want to make, moving into real world financial investments with stable coins as cost effective as humanly possible. And we also want to make it work within existing systems in the most integrated, easy to manage way possible. And so a couple of important things on that when it comes to the chain selection are speed and cost to transact. And so, being able to operate our vaults on Avalanche, in addition to, I think, is kind of table stakes, the level of trust and, just, throughput that the network is processed provably, being able to do so at incredibly fast speeds and, incredibly low cost to transact allows us to offer, the most economical products possible to our clients. And then they're able to pass on those savings to their end users, et cetera, et cetera. And the last thing I'd say is there's a great, community and ecosystem within Avalanche. So looking particularly at our friend Leandro here on with us, but being able to, build with a trusted partner that has great tech and a great ecosystem, it's kind of the full package as far as we're concerned.
Oh man, we appreciate you so much, Jeff. Like, what you've built, the access that you've given these companies so that they can generate this yield, and what these companies have been done for their overall end users. This is absolutely amazing. And actually,
honestly, it's all the companies. To be honest, there would be no usage of stable coins on Avalanche or stablecoin yield on Avalanche without the companies that do the hard work of actually providing products that a bunch of end users love. So
and it's so interesting the difference in perspective. A lot of folks, we think of stable coins like, oh, I need to cash out from my asset and go cash out into a USDC, so I don't have to worry about fluctuations. And folks in these countries are using it to beat hyperinflation. To hear that there was an inflation rate of 25% in 1 month, to me just sounds insane. For everyone out there, imagine what you have in your bank account, and in 1 month it's 25% less. Like I couldn't imagine if something like that happened to me, and it's happening to what millions of people around the world. And so I really, really appreciate you folks what you've built, because this is absolutely huge. I also want to ask, so a lot of folks are kind of unfamiliar with the term real world assets, money market funds, or on-chain yield. So what are you folks doing to kind of educate the overall users and help kind of drive that adoption forward? I'll kind of just open it. I'll ask that question kind of open, and whoever would like to go ahead, and you guys go ahead. Or I'll pick on someone.
I think maybe I can start with this. We do these kind of things actually. So we have a lot of educational content on a regular basis on all the different initiatives we have in the Avalanche ecosystem, but also in a broader spectrum of what's going on in blockchain in general, how these products are built, and you have such a wide variety of different alternatives. For instance, in the sense of what you mentioned of how to get yield in stablecoins in blockchain, and you have alternatives which are completely crypto native, and you have DeFi products of very different natures between each other, and you have real world assets which are very different as well, and between each other also because you have alternatives like the one OpenTrade is producing, which has a very which is very focused on the security, both on the technical aspects, but also on the financial aspects of their products. But that's not always the case for every product which relies on real world assets to provide yield on stablecoins. So I think the educational part on this sense is absolutely crucial, because for the end user, and this can be a user using a self-custodial solution and having their own wallet and interacting with a DeFi product like Aave or Benki or any number of different DeFi protocols we have in the ecosystem, but also using products like Velo or Wembit or LTIO, which is like an intermediary to access the same type of products. So for any of these alternatives, it's very important for users to know what's going on behind, and they don't have to become like experts in finance to actually utilize these services, but knowing what kind of companies and what kind of protocols are in the middle of what they are doing is absolutely relevant. And it's as more and more people start using these solutions, I think the challenge becomes even larger, and having this kind of spaces, and we have them also in Spanish through our social network accounts, and we have a YouTube account as well where we produce content in Spanish, and I think that is super important for the final user as well. But I think something that is also interesting to consider in this particular call, which we are lucky enough to have some of the leading companies in offering this type of products for the final user. I think what Romain mentioned before, that building the trust for them in comparison to the traditional financial system is absolutely critical as well. And these companies which are actually building serious and very solid products for the final users are also very important, because maybe for the user that is not so maybe technically capable or savvy, or even from a financial perspective, many users don't have like the full knowledge of how these products work on the back end. Trusting the company, the immediate company that they are working with is absolutely super important for us.
I also kind of we're coming up close to time too, so I wanted to ask Jeff really quick, man. Can you talk about some of like the on and off ramping kind of friction that kind of remains, kind of like big blockers for Latin Americans?
Oh, well, yeah. So, I'll talk about just in the the context of open trade, so kind of how we streamline one of the challenges that can come into that. So, as mentioned, as folks move into more stablecoin-based US dollar and euro financial services, they begin dealing in stablecoins versus in US dollar or euro bank accounts. And so by having to reintroduce a step where you move back out of the stablecoin into the fiat version to then invest in something like a money market fund, you're adding friction when you've already kind of solved for that friction point in some ways by moving to stable coins just to get those returns. So basically what we do is we handle that friction point ourselves through our own kind of like off-chain operations. So being able to move from USD to USDC, USDT to USD, EURCDRO, and vice versa, and completely abstract that away for the companies that we have as our clients. And then yeah, I'd let the rest of the group comment more about for the end users how they abstract that. Where I know from each of them that they all have very slick ways of getting folks into US dollars via USDC or USDT and making that seamless. But yeah, on our end, it's look, we don't want to reintroduce the friction associated with on and off ramping for different investments and different products. So we effectively take that out of the equation by all of our products being denominated in the stable coins themselves.
Okay, man, appreciate you too. And I guess I'll pitch things over to the rest of the panel too. I mean, Romain, if you want to talk a little bit about it.
In LTIO, we are not getting lots in details about what happens behind, because we know that if we give much details, we are going to lose our users. And we need to find like the sweet spots where users can understand what are they investing in, but not so technical, so they can understand it. So we use a really basic financial words for them to can understand that their funds are safe in what they are investing. And the most important later is to make the product works 100%. So each time they receive their yield and everything, and that's what finally creates this financial education, because they know that in LTIO they're using blockchain, they're using crypto, and they're seeing that everything is working well. And so they can associate like crypto working well with my yield, and that's how you can create this education that crypto is not just investing in Bitcoin, but you can invest in way safer products.
So yeah, I love that you're educating people on that, because crypto is kind of bigger than just Bitcoin, and that's kind of the first thing that someone says. But now we have folks like this panel up here who have creating products that it's mainly focused on stables. We got Fetty over here where you can actually invest in stocks and ETFs as well. I mean, things like this, these are really, really changing, not only the overall technological landscape, but also like the lives of the overall end user who needs your products as solutions. So really, really hats off to everyone in this panel discussion. I'm going to open things up really quick just for closing remarks from our lovely panel here. You can tell folks, where to follow you at, any updates or vision for the future, anything like that. But the floor is yours, my friend. It's your time. I'm going to go ahead and pick on Edwin first, and then we'll go ahead and round trip this thing.
Sure. You can follow us on Velo _app. Also as Oi Brazil, Oi Velo, because we are launching in Brazil probably by the end of August, if everything goes smoothly. Yeah, I'm super excited. And just, as a closing thought from my side, I think that we are better when we build together, even though we might be, circumstantially, rivals or competitors and stuff. At the end, the important thing is that we try to get these tools to people that are not used to having those tools, because I think that that's a win-win, and everything else will follow after that.
Agree, man. Really appreciate you for popping on today, my friend. And next up, Fetty, you got any closing remarks for the people out there?
Oh, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for the invitation, Brivi. You can follow us on Twitter mainly. Our username is boembit. As a closing remark, so we will be working on trying to build the best investment app in Latin America, making investments accessible to everybody. And we think blockchain technology is fundamental for access, to international markets. So we'll be, although we have, access to the traditional market, U.S. stocks and ETFs, our core will always be built in the blockchain. So we are very, very bullish on that.
Appreciate you so much, Fetty. Thank you so much for being willing to pop on. And Romain, you got any closing remarks for the people out there?
Yeah, sure. If you're in Mexico, Argentina, Chile, and Peru, LTIO is already live. You have access to your US account. You can withdraw to your local bank account, receive crypto, have the yield at 6% in dollars. And soon you'll be able to have access to your Euro account, to have your yield in Euro, and have access to the LTIO card, so you can download the application on Android and iOS with the name of LTIO.
See, this is amazing. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Romain. Jeff, you got any closing remarks for the people out there?
Yeah, sure. No, thanks. Thanks everyone for joining, letting me participate. It was a really great group. I'd say go follow and use everyone else's apps. First and foremost, you can find us on Twitter and LinkedIn, and on our side, just really, really cool to be able to speak with the builders who are making it happen on the ground. So yeah, really good conversation.
100% agreed. I was really, really looking forward to this one. And last but certainly not least, Leandro, take us home, baby. You got any closing remarks for the people out there?
Well, on my side, I would like to highlight that Latin America is definitely one of the most interesting places, most interesting regions for blockchain in general, and this is a great example. What these people are building for Latin America are great examples of this. And I always say that in Latin America, of course, you have a lot of people using, I don't know, meme coins and other fun things you find in crypto, but this kind of real world solutions here in Latin America are by far the ones that bring most of the adoption in the region, and it's very different to other regions in the world. So if you're building something on blockchain that will actually change lives, make sure to look at what's happening in Latin America. I think the context is super interesting. It's very different between one country and another, but it's different throughout the continent. It's interesting throughout the continent, I mean. And we're happy to support from Avalanche. We're building a very extensive network of partnerships focused in Latin America, and I'm happy to support every builder looking to build for the region in particular. So yeah, just closing with that.
Man, I really, really appreciate you, Leandro, and of course every single person in this panel right now, man. Like what you folks have built is just, from everything that I've heard about like the different problems that people are facing and like the solutions that you folks have built. Just hats off to all of you. Hats off to all of you. You're absolutely changing the lives of millions of different people, and I'm very, very excited for your products to continue to get adopted and to continue to change lives for the betterment of the entire world. So again, man, hats off to everybody in this panel. For everyone out there, please make sure you're following everyone in this panel, especially if you're living in LATAM. The products that they build could really, really help you out, whether it's you or whether it's a family member or a friend. It can be really helpful. So make sure you're following everything that they're doing. Make sure you're keeping updated. As I usually say every single week, man, I give this pro tip. I hope everybody's using this pro tip. And that pro tip is this: bell notifications, everybody. When you follow these folks, make sure you put on the bell notifications so you get notified whenever they tweet something out, whenever they have it updated, so that you can make sure that you stay updated with everything that is happening with what they're building. Again, thank you folks so much, to my panel, to the audience out there. Thank you so much for watching. If you just kind of tuned in, this is not one of those ones where you want to miss even a second of it. So if you missed any moment of it, you need to go ahead and rewatch this thing back from the top. So as soon as it ends, you can rewatch it back, or I'm going to also upload this thing to Spotify for you folks as well, so that you can watch on your drives to or from work. So appreciate everyone out there for tuning in. Appreciate the panels for being willing to hop on. I'm going to end this thing by simply saying, peace.
Thank you.